Hello, everyone, and welcome to Creative Business Network's event here this afternoon on the untapped potential of investing in the creative economy. This is part of our Creative Business Investors Network that we have created for investors interested in the creative industries. And there are lots of investors out there interested in the creative industries. They're investing in gaming, in fashion, in movies, in music, and all kinds of different startups, but often they're not labeling them as creative industries. And today, this afternoon, we're going to try and uncover and discover why it's difficult and why it can be difficult to invest in the creative industries and why there could be some really good returns, because we are also talking about the future H&M or bestseller or IKEA, Lego, Cirque du Soleil, etc. So both large and small companies. If you look at an investment company such as Excel Ventures, they have put a lot of their eggs in the basket called creative industries by investing in jewelry, Pandora, also in several fashion companies and in companies that sell furniture. So actually, the creative industries already get a lot of attention, but it's also difficult for many of the startups and entrepreneurs in the creative industries to access capital. That's, of course, because many of their ideas are intangible. They're in their heads, and we have to trust that they are the ones that will be the next Spielberg or the next designer or whatever it is, architect that will invent something that will be useful for the citizens and the businesses of tomorrow. So I'm just going to dwell very briefly before inviting the first panel in here. It's why it's difficult to invest in the culture and creative industries. Well, one thing is that it's a difficult sector. I mean, if you're investing in fashion, you have to make sure that the people that you're investing in can kind of predict what will be the rage in 2 months and 6 months. If you're investing in toys, for example, we have Christmas coming up, but you had to kind of predict already maybe 3, 6, or 9 months from now or before now to what would be actually the hit of the Christmas. You've probably seen the movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger where he's running to get that thing that was the big hit that Christmas. So that's one of the things. The markets are difficult. It could also be that the entrepreneurs went to schools like design schools or to architecture schools, other kind of schools that didn't necessarily include markets, customers, business plans, etc. So they have great business ideas, but they're maybe not good at putting them down to paper and actually making sure that people understand why this is a brilliant idea. That's often why we see in many of the creative companies, including like Disney Corporation, that there is usually someone creative and then someone in suit. They call it the T-shirts and the suits, or the T-shirts and how they look at these creative teams. And the creative person is usually the spokesperson, the designer, whatever, that's outgoing and flamboyant sometimes. Then we have these are stereotypes, of course. The ones that are more the one with the suits are the more hesitant ones. We are today going to look into investment opportunities in Copenhagen. So, Creative Copenhagen, is that true? Is it a myth? Or is it something that you can actually rely on? If you're a creative startup from somewhere else in the world than Copenhagen, why should you come here? Can you find investors that are more ready? Can you find talents that are more qualified? Can you find suppliers? What is it that makes Copenhagen a great place to invest? Then we're also going to look at impact investment in the creative industries, because a lot of the investments that you can make in the creative industries, particularly in craftsmanship, etc., will have an impact on employment and on social cohesion in a society, because we have to remember that many of the creative products are not just market products and services. They also have non-market values. Non-market values such as community and meaning, etc., that they are infused with. When I say infused with, it's because you can find creative products that actually start revolutions that make people upset. Just don't mention the cartoons. These are just cartoons here in Denmark, and what they can do to trade and political stability for a country or for a region. So they can be quite powerful, these non-market values that we're talking about. So we're talking about also about impact investment in the creative industries. We have a couple of keynote speakers later in the afternoon on raising capital for female founders in Southeast Asia, and see if we can draw anything from that that is general, that can relate to everyone. Then we're going to look at how to get funded. We're going to look at social investment as well. Some of the countries have seen a breakdown of normal rules and the rule of law, etc. So are there different ways that companies can still deliver services and earn money back to the investors that are kind of in this fringe area of a social investment and a real investment, so to speak? We're going to end the day, as we do with most of our events, with some pitching. So we have some most investable startups that will pitch. We have, let's see, 1, 2, 3. Startups that will pitch, and we have a number of investors that will look into what. A guy from Zoo. Zoo is the money that was left over from when Guy Laliberté sold Cirque du Soleil. So Guillaume Terrine is the CEO of Zoo, calling in from Montreal or Montreal. We have Juliana Schulze, Torsten Kohlin, Søren Stenderup, and Michael Rabonsa. So we have some great investors here. Then while we wait for the investors to make a decision, we will have some breakout sessions, in total 3 tracks, one in play and learn. So how can you learn math and geography and languages, anything, while playing? We're going to have food sector. Then at the end, we're going to announce a winner of this pitch competition, and then we're all done. But we're only done for today because we are also going to continue the Creative Business Investor Network for the years to come. We have had it in the past. We're kind of relaunching it. If you go on thisiscbnet.com, so thisis.cbnet.com, you can find the exclusive group for investors interested in this field. And together with Sue and others, we are building up a knowledge platform on how to invest in a good way in the creative companies. So this was my little introduction to the field, to the area that we're going to discuss today. But first, we're going to look into Copenhagen, Creative Copenhagen. And with me, I have 3 people, 2 here in the studio and 1 online. I just want to make sure that we have also the one come in from Zoom. It's Ida Osle. She's with ByFounders. Do we have her? Yes, she's also. I'm here. I wonder if the loudspeakers are on so we can also hear you. Ida, can you just say hello so we're sure that we can hear you?
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
I'm glad I did that little test. Ida?
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Because I am not able to hear you right now.
Can the audience hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Great.
I suppose the producers, the technicians are working hard to get you in on the speakers. Otherwise, while they work on that, I'm lucky to have with me from Copenhagen Capacity, Lisa Malner, and from Copenhagen Business Hub, Morten Kohlberg. And let me start out with you, Lisa. So now you heard me talk about a little bit about Copenhagen, Creative Copenhagen. You work with investment opportunity for Copenhagen Capacity. Can you tell me a bit more? Why should a startup from abroad consider Copenhagen as the place to start, or not start, but grow its business?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say if you are a startup and you're watching this right now, just in case you don't know, Copenhagen Capacity offers completely free services to help you establish yourselves here. So if you are actually considering that, we're the people to reach out to, and we're really happy to help. Now you have the really critical question, why would any company want to start here or to scale here to begin with? Well, first of all, why wouldn't you? I mean, this is the happiest country in the world. We have one of the best work-life balances. We have a great environment for innovation. We are always ranked highly when it comes to innovation, when it comes to high-level talent, and of course, when it comes to things like salaries, which people are always interested in when they're relocating. So if you are looking for a location that's in the Nordics, but well connected to Europe, if you're looking for a location where you can live a happy and fulfilled life, there's really no better place than Copenhagen.
So it's a good life here. It's a balanced life, and it's where you can. I've seen this Carlsberg commercial where it says "ding, 4 o'clock," and everyone goes home. So actually, we're going to end this at 4 o'clock, not at 5 o'clock. No.
Well, let me put it this way. I'm from the U.S., so Danish people, they're not allowed to brag. So I can brag for you. It's really nice. It's not just probably the best place. It is.
That's good. Where are you from in the U.S.?
New York.
New York. So you know how the tough life is. But so Lisa. How many startups? What is the interest from startups coming here? Is it the good life, or is it to find the investor? What is the motivation mainly that you find from foreign startups?
I mean, just to clear the elephant in the room, I don't think many startups here are coming for the investment ecosystem, especially because we do have Stockholm right above us.
Yeah.
But many people are coming here. First of all, because maybe they're in a certain industry where we are number one. A lot of people know Danish design. They might be interested in things like sustainability. They might be interested in things like pharmaceuticals. So if you're looking at some of these leading industries, this is the place to be. And secondly, maybe they like sunlight. Maybe they're looking for a city that's more connected in terms of other places to Europe and close to an airport, and things that are a little bit more soft in terms of the work-life balance.
It's true that you said sunlight, but right now, I think the sun sets around 3 and goes up around 9. But of course, that turns around completely. And when we have our big event end of June, it will be getting up at 4:30 and settling at 10 or so. So it does reverse itself, just so you guys know that it is actually a different story in the summer. But it's true, with design, we have a great tradition, or we used to have at least a great tradition. But maybe most of the startups coming here are coming here for some of the other strengths. We are strong in pharmaceuticals, as you mentioned, medtech, and we're strong in maybe also food. Some food business. We have Arla, that's one of the big ones. I see that I'm getting mic'd up, re-mic'd up again. I hope this is all okay with you. We're working out of this.
We're getting very good at hardware,
We're getting good at hardware too. That as well. Great. Morten Kohlberg from Copenhagen Business Hub. So tell me a bit more. You've been around the Copenhagen Business Hub for about 6 months or so?
That's right. Yeah. Only 6 months.
Yeah.
Coming in directly from the street, directly into a coronavirus.
Yeah.
Into an empty office.
Okay.
It was a really special situation.
So you're working from home then?
Yes. We're all sent home right now. So we're working from home, all of us. I'm representing the public sector. Yeah. So we are right now forced to work from home.
Okay. But you've been working, and Copenhagen Business Hub is working on also, not so much as Copenhagen capacity and attracting, but you're more at helping those that are here, right?
Exactly. This is where we're different here. So we'll help people typically coming to Denmark while once they're here, we try to make sure that we can offer them something that will make them grow. So, and representing the public sector, then we need to move into a business where we need to have proposal. You have to have services and offerings for every kind of businesses. We cannot say no to anything. And a part of that, I must say that especially entrepreneurship and startup is something from a political point of view is really interesting. This is where you put in a lot of efforts. And just before coming here, I was trying to look at some of the numbers. When we look at the entrepreneurs, we had more just this year, even during a crisis and pandemic situation, we had more than 1,100 people coming through our pipeline for entrepreneurship. And we are working with more than 2,000 companies per year, trying to help them grow, trying to bridge all the opportunities that we see in the public sector, bridge them together with the private sector, and making sure that people have the best opportunity to grow.
But what kind of help do these startups need? Because I know that we're maybe Estonia beats us, but we're pretty digitized. So once you have your NemID, which is this little card you need to get on the banks and everything, you can start a company right away, and you can pay the VAT, and all that can be done seamlessly in online. So what do you do?
That's really good. I think coming from abroad and trying to enter our society that is so highly digitized, one thing is that it's easy to work with. That's for true. But you need network. You need to understand the Danish culture. you need to find out how to operate business in Denmark. This is where we come in. We offer both, the massive network that our people working for us has right now. So that meaning connecting you to other networks, connecting you to private people that could offer you right services, could help you grow, connect you to people or offerings within the public sector, making sure that you can see all the opportunities that are available in the Danish society coming from abroad. I think one of the things that we see often is that even though that we are the happiest world in the world, right, the happiest people in the world, and I fully agree with that, and we have a wonderful country. I don't think being a Dane, and maybe you can acknowledge that, I don't think that we as a people is the most easiest one to approach. We are, as a general rule, a little bit shy. We are a little bit polite. Reserved, that's a good word. So you need to figure out how to cooperate with Danes.
But we're also pretty direct. I've heard that many people have a problem with our directness. What do you say? We should ask a foreigner here, Lisa. Has that been this shy wild, I suppose it is, the characteristics, and on one hand being reserved, on the other hand sometimes being extremely direct? It must be difficult for a foreigner to handle.
Well, I think if you're a foreigner and you're learning about not just Denmark, but the Nordics, you probably have read that the secret sauce here is actually trust.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And that's really the underlying cause of, are people a little bit shy? Are they a little bit reserved? Are they too direct? I think it's because if they trust you, there's very little friction when it comes to doing business, but they have to trust you first. And that's why maybe it can be hard to do a cold approach or to just reach out if someone doesn't know you, because you're a stranger, they have no trust. But if they do trust you, they will not waste your time, with petty flattery or anything like that.
Okay. So then you get it straight as they think it. I understand that my sound kept falling out, but also that let's just test if we have Ida Osle from ByFounders with us now.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great.
There is a voice. This is like, for some of you that remember Mancia show, and there was this operating room, they would go, yes, there's someone here. Ida, welcome.
Thank you.
You are with us from the Zoom, but tell us a bit about ByFounders. First of all, we would like to know more about what that is all about.
Absolutely. So thanks for inviting me to this. As you said, I represent ByFounders, which is an early stage tech VC, Nordic, investing in Nordic and Baltic founders. So we typically invest at seed stage out of our 100 million euro fund. The unique thing about ByFounders, so we're based in Copenhagen, but we are active all over the Nordics and Baltics. And we have this group of 62 all serial entrepreneurs who have all been through the journey of starting, scaling, and also exiting their own companies. And so they are highly competent founders in all respects. And they help us and the small team that we are in ByFounders, the core team, with everything from finding good companies to look at, to evaluate deals, and to work with our portfolio companies after we've invested. So to date, we have invested in 29 companies, and we are still going strong. So if there are anyone who is on that level here today, Nordic or some founders with some connection to the Nordics that are at seed stage with a software-driven business model, then we're interested in talking.
Excellent. So these are, just to reiterate, these are all founders, so entrepreneurs that have actually made a business, sitting on some money. So in other words, if you get the interest from ByFounders, you're not only getting money, which is always nice to grow, but you're also getting the experience. You're also getting someone that knows something. So they will not just give you some cash and then let you work with it. They're going to be highly involved, I suppose.
Yes, exactly. So we like to think that we are very active investors. We go in, we don't decide what our founders should do. We always entrust the founders to steer the ship. That is why we invest in founders first and foremost. This is the most important aspect we look at when we make an investment decision, whether the founders are someone we believe can take this to a huge success. But then we also want to give them the resources to do that. So we enable them through the support of highly skilled operational expertise.
Excellent. You said Nordic Baltics in the first round, and then you said Nordics in the second round. So the Nordics, just for everyone, that's Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Iceland. And the Baltics, that's usually Estonia, Lithuania, and Latvia, or actually Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania in that order. I suppose that's how you kind of group it, right? So these are startups from these markets are relevant. So of the 29 investments you have made so far, and ByFounders have been around for what, 3 years or so?
Yeah, we've been investing for 3 years, yeah.
Yeah. So of the 29 companies, how many of those would you characterize as creative in the sense that they are from either gaming or music or movies or fashion or architecture, mobility, smart cities, that kind of area?
It's interesting you're asking, because when I was invited to this, I was a little bit unsure as to what you would classify as a creative startup. I think it's absolutely true. When we make investments into the companies that in fact can be classified as such, we did never consider them to be creative startups. So when you say it, it's almost as if you think, oh, that's not actually our focus, but yes, it is. So we have made 5 investments in the gaming space, for example. We have a very strong group of some of the strongest gaming profiles from the Nordics and Baltics, again, in our collective, as I spoke about before, including people like David Helgason from Unity and Timo Soininen of Small Giant Games. So through them and the number of other profiles, they help us identify very strong gaming companies. So we have made a few bets there, still early days for most of them, but very exciting and definitely an interest area of ours. Then we've been looking a bit into fashion tech, especially on the sort of impact side. So when we are looking at fashion tech, what we like to see is any company that addresses some of the massive issues that fashion tech is or fashion as an industry is causing. As I'm sure you're all aware, it's one of the biggest, one of the industries with the biggest environmental footprint. So anything that can limit that in some way, we have, for example, subscription-based clothing. There's new materials made in innovative, less polluting ways. There is supply chain innovation. All of these things are super interesting to us. And then lastly, there are a number of cool companies in the music scene as well. We haven't actually made any bets there yet. But of course, Spotify is the big name there. And also there's companies like Epidemic Sound and others kind of also making huge successes for the investors that have been part of that. So definitely something we're open to.
I can tell for investors out there, if you're interested in that, for example, fashion tech, that we have since 2013 had some really interesting startups in the Creative Business Cup, which is the competition that Creative Business Network runs. We had in 13 Orange Fiber from Italy. They work with orange pulp and make it into fiber, into textiles. They're working now with Ferragamo, so they're going for it. We also have Alga Life in 2017 from Israel. They're using algae from the oceans, making that into textile. They won here first in Copenhagen at the City Hall, and then they went on to H&M to win their big sustainability prize. And we've had also Red Button from Nigeria that works with these water lilies. So really a product that no one really uses or take care of, waste product, and makes that into textile and fashion that is really good. So if you're looking for that, that's interesting. And also I can recommend for all of you investors out there to hang on when Stefan Alfsson comes on from NARC from Iceland. That is the next EVE Online that we will see soon coming up. So anyway, that's in about 6 minutes. So now back to both Morten, Lisa, and Ida. So Copenhagen again. We're talking about this wonderful city of, what is it, 1.5 million people or so, that you can have a good work-life balance. And it's true, I had some friends that came here, either their parents came here from Japan because they knew that the furniture manufacturing or designers were so impressive that they would take the whole family from Japan in the 60s and come here and settle. And I also had some Americans move here simply because they were so impressed by how design was democratic, that the co-op, the big retailer, actually was the co-financer of Børge Mogensen and lots of the chairs that we have. But these are all examples from the past. You know, what do we have for now? What do we have besides, you know, we have Woodwood, and we have these artists that are also designers and, that crossover. But what do we have today? We have about 5 minutes to cover that issue. Lisa?
What type of creative businesses are we seeing today?
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised that you said all these were in the past because, Ida, you were mentioning gaming, and I can think of quite a few really interesting movements that have been happening here with things like esports and XR, which are really, you can't see them anyplace else in the world. So it's surprising it's being innovated here. I guess we've all been sitting inside in the winter, innovating. And I would also say in the creative industry, I agree with you, Ida. I think we're seeing a lot of movement with this agricultural technology is almost moving into fashion tech, right? There's a strange fusion going on, which is really quite exciting.
And you, Morten, do you see any? I know.
I was just thinking about the same, and it depends on definitions, but giving also, I think we should look into also what's happening within the food. Yeah, just being, we are really doing something a difference here coming from a Danish point of view, and we are running right now some of the programs with accelerators for food startups and the changes that are going on there with the new vegan approaches, and these will be the ones defining the new generation. These will be the ones that we will look back on and say, this is where it all begun. And I think there is a lot of cradle going on, trying to make sure that these can grow rapidly.
I remember in 2014 we had a Chinese startup that used potato flour and tried to convince the Chinese to use potato flour in desserts, for example, and in general to use potatoes. Because if the Chinese all started skipping rice and eating potatoes instead, it would have a huge impact on the environment. I don't know how far he got with that, but it's true that there's a lot of stuff going on that's in the food sector with both the vegan movement and vegetarianism, etc., but also just new ways of consumption and new ways of also resourcing or sourcing in.
Just by definition, using sustainability as an approach for developing new business model, it will be everywhere. We will see that in the coming years.
And Ida, of the 29, how many of those are here from Copenhagen? Lisa just mentioned that it couldn't be for the investors because then you would go to Stockholm. There you have all the hardcore investors. And if you're an ed tech startup, you'll definitely go to Helsinki. That's where everything is happening in ed tech and in innovation in that field. So of the 29, is Copenhagen still, or is it the past?
Copenhagen is definitely not the past. I'm very happy to say that. Exactly how many of our companies, I'd say 1/3 probably is based here in Copenhagen, if not a little bit more. So quite a bit, but I would actually say, and I heard no one would come to Copenhagen for the investment. I think that is absolutely changing for two reasons, actually. The first one being that we are going through these strange times, right, where things are actually moving online to a degree we have never seen before. So all of our first pitch meetings that we have with companies these days happen on Zoom. So whether they're in, Sweden or Finland or the US or Germany, as long as they have the Nordic connection that we require, it doesn't matter where they are. And the other investors are thinking the same way. So that is one thing. The other thing is that a number of investors who are not currently typically based in the Nordics, or at least not outside of their home country, are looking to set up shop in Copenhagen, or at least looking at being way more active here. And the reason for that is that simply Sweden is very saturated. They have a very high level of competition between funds. Also from, the international investors are looking to Sweden increasingly. The same is a little bit true in Finland as well. So there you have Denmark being ahead of Norway, being the most attractive kind of hub to then establish oneself in. So I've spoken to 2 VCs actually within the past 6 months who are looking to actually establish themselves in Copenhagen. So I would say these things are also changing for the better for Danish entrepreneurs. And also we're very happy to see that at ByFounders, of course, because we see that as complementing our own efforts rather than just competing.
That's good. That's excellent. Yeah, many, this of course, co-investing is important because it kind of both makes sure that the risk is diluted, but also the expertise that you can bring in that sense.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We have spent now 20 minutes discussing investment opportunities in Copenhagen. So thank you a lot to Lisa Malner from Copenhagen Capacity, Morten Kohlberg from Copenhagen Business Hub, and to Ida Osle from ByFounders. Thanks a lot for tuning in on this Creative Business Investor event happening. So thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're moving on into the next session here. And that is, what? Excuse me? There is a question? No, I can't read. Someone is showing me a sign and I can't really see what it says. Okay, everyone's here for the impact. That's good. Good. So we can move on into the impact investment session. So I would like to invite Stefan Alfsson from NARC. Are you here? Just make a small sound so we can hear you. Stefan, you need to unmute. Then
yes. Dear Rasmus.
Hey, Stefan, good to see you. Good to see you.
Good to see you. I'm mute again.
Carlos Mancia from Social Growing.
Hi.
From Chile.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you and we can see you partly, but I must say that it would be great if you could put some light in front of you because you look very dark.
Okay, I will try.
Turn on the light so we can see your beautiful face. Pelle Pedersen from Duland, are you with us?
I'm with you guys.
Excellent, super, that's good. And you look also quite well lit. Super duper. And then we have Geert Kosa from the Kosa Foundation. Let's just hear from you as well.
Hi, hope you can hear me.
I can hear you. I can just, could you just say a bit more? Yeah, there we go.
Hi, sorry. Yeah. I hope you can hear and see me.
You are ready for Christmas, I see. Or at least
I live in Copenhagen and I have a very Danish wife who loves to set everything up. So the entire house is Christmassy right now.
No need to excuse that. That's okay, quite okay.
I love it. No, I'm very happy about it. I'm very excited.
Let's just have a quick presentation round. Why don't we start with you, Geert Kosa? What are you doing? What are you doing in Copenhagen? And what is the Kosa Foundation?
So the Kosa Foundation is my family's foundation. We've had it for over 35 years. I've been part of it for the last 15. And we do a bunch of investment advisory all over the world, predominantly from our own family money. So we don't do anything crazy, but we focus on a lot of different kinds of companies and startups. I personally have been also a serial tech entrepreneur for the last 15 years. I know a couple of people that were in the session before. So yeah, it's a small city. We all get to know each other a little bit. And I've been in Copenhagen for the last 3 or 4 years now. Yeah.
Okay, cool. What do you mainly invest in, you say?
So it's a variety of things, but we try to focus on health and food. So health and food with an impact lens, of course.
Excellent. So then Pelle Pedersen from Duland, what is Duland all about?
Well, yeah, I'm a lawyer by training, but I've worked with sustainable investing the last 8 years as head of responsible investment at one of the big pension funds here in Denmark called PKA. And then I joined Duland over a year ago, and Duland is a new digital platform for sustainable investing, where retail investors can invest as little as 500 kroners. You select the impact themes you want to invest in, answer a few questions about your economy, and then we build an investment that reflects that. You log into your dashboard where you can track the returns of your investment and also follow the impact of your investment.
Excellent. So you said that you were investing in sustainability or sustainable investments. So
it's only focused on, it's a platform for sustainable investments.
For sustainable investments or investments in sustainability, or I think there's a bit of a difference. Maybe it's just maybe I'm just playing around with words here, but so it's about the SDGs, etc.
It's about you as an investor, whether you have 500 kroners or 5 million kroners want to invest, and you select the sustainable investment themes you want to invest in. So that could be renewable energy, it could be water, social impact, what have you. And then we build an investment that reflects what you want to invest in.
Excellent. Super duper. Then we have Carlos Mancia from Chile. Do we have some more light on you?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. But now we can't suddenly.
Can you see me?
Now we can hear you. We can hear you and we can see you.
Tell me about
you want to revolutionize the way we invest in startups in general, right?
Yes, that's right. Well, my name is Carlos. I'm from Chile, from South America. I have been working 8 years developing disruptive companies but disruptive social companies here in Chile in different markets. My first company is a toilet paper, a social impact toilet paper. We are very famous here in Chile, and now I'm looking for more disruptive companies. We are boosting a mining social impact company too here in Chile.
So mining social impact. How do you create a mining company with a social impact angle?
Yes, first of all, are not huge operations, are small operations, and we ensure that the social impact using part of the profit of the operation to, in this case, to help children without homes. So we use the money, we guarantee in the social development inside the operation. So we, and sustainability too. So we started with the operation like 2 months ago. So I think this month we will sell the first shipment of copper.
Of copper, the first shipment of copper.
Yeah, copper and gold.
Amazing. But you also you said in toilet paper.
Yes, toilet paper too. So that is the most famous company here in Chile. We are here in Chile. We have a huge cartel of toilet paper in the multinational companies and a Chilean company. So we started with this social impact toilet paper brand. So to go against this big multinational, corrupted multinational. So we are social because we use circular economy. So we recycle all our packagings, and we use part of the profits to help children without homes, and we donate a lot of toilet paper to different foundations and social initiatives.
So the people when they go to the stores in Chile, they can choose between a social impact toilet paper or one of the regular ones from some of the big brands.
That's right, and all these companies are financed by social investors. So that is the key element for this event, that we have raised more than $1 million to develop these companies.
That's excellent. So, but you also, I know you from the past because you also participated in Creative Business Cup representing Chile. Which company was that with?
Incoludido is the toilet paper brand.
Okay, fantastic.
Yes.
So you were in Copenhagen in 2016, 17?
No, in that time we went second place, and here in Chile.
Okay.
Yes, because we were just starting the company 4 years ago.
Okay, I see. So for you guys, I didn't spend a lot of time spending what the Creative Business Network is, but it's a network of organizations around the world that want to help the creative companies to grow by connecting them to investors, but also to foreign markets, to global markets. So Chilean to Denmark, and Danish to Germany, and Germany to France, etc. And you were part of that cup that is organized every year. We didn't run the cup in 2020 this year, but next year in 2021 we're going to do 2020 and 21. So we're going to have 2 tracks at the global finals, one for the 2020 startups and one for the 2021 startups, just so you guys know. Now, moving to Iceland. Back in 2014, actually back in 2013, we had a startup from Iceland. And this was a women's founder startup. And they did quite well. I believe they came in the top 5. Then the next year, she wrote me, I'm actually, my boyfriend is Magnus Scheving from Lazy Town. And I don't know if you guys know Lazy Town, but it's this TV program for kids. It was sold from Iceland to Turner Broadcasting, and it's about how to get kids to move more and also to eat more healthy. And it was like 100 programs that were produced, and Magnus Scheving played the main role as Sportacus. So Google Sportacus or Google Sportacus and Michelle Obama, and you'll see. Why am I getting to all that? That's because Magnus is the one that introduced me to this wonderful person called Stefan Abson. And Stefan, you're right now working on NARC, but you've been doing a lot of stuff before that and during this as well. But tell me just first a little bit about NARC.
Okay, so NARC is a humble company located in Malta with Icelandic origin. We are doing a game, or let's say world MMORPG, for those of you who are familiar with that term. And it can basically be described as an alternative reality of a sort. It's we built a large world which then the players inhabit, and given how this market is developing and past successes, I see no reason why these worlds will not last decades or even 100 years. So it takes a long time to build it. It's quite expensive, but if you do it well, you'll reap the rewards. Well, your children will reap the rewards.
And that's also a good cause, actually. So that's almost, you're making an impact for your kids. And the reason why you're Icelanders based in Malta is because Malta is actually, like other countries, competing for startups, for creative people to move there, just like Copenhagen is. Malta, and I don't know if Silicon Valley is, but I know Buffalo, New York, there are other cities around the world that are trying to get the best of the best to move. And so what made you decide to place NARC on Malta?
Well, it was various reasons. Obviously, the first thing people think about are the taxes, which are quite friendly, but that was not the deciding factor. I guess, well, our cost here is at least half from what it is in Iceland. People are making changes in Iceland to be more competitive, so Iceland is more competitive, but it's not yet. And it is a small island, like Iceland, roughly the same population, and we know how to do a business on small islands. So, and we obviously were welcomed here, both with the Mediterranean hospitality and money. So,
yeah, but they're not as crazy as Icelandic people, are they?
No, they are. Well. In most cases, not. In some cases, yes. But let's not go into that.
Great. Now you know the people who are part of this little panel on impact investment. So now I would like to ask all of you, all four, both Stefan, Carlos, Pelle, and Rit. You are Carlos. You will get back later on also to give a keynote. But what are the key factors when making impact investment? We're making, or what goes through the mind of an investor when he's making an impact investment, and what are some of the key things to look for and think about? Why don't we start with Rit again from Kosa Foundation?
Yeah, thank you for the question. In my opinion, can you hear me? All right.
Yes, we can, but you can speak up a little bit. That would be great.
Yeah, sure. In my opinion, I think there's a lot of companies in the impact world which are not good companies, because they just put the word impact on there and they put an SDG on there and they think, oh yeah, that'll get us some investment. And I think we're a little bit old school in some ways. We like to invest in great companies first that do great work globally. And yes, impact is super important. But I would like to invest in a great company that does great impact work.
What is a great impact to you?
At the end of the day, make a lot of money for the right stakeholders and the right people, as well as have great impact in society, not just money. So I think in my mind, I kind of have grown up in the world. I'm not as old as some of the other investors that I sit in the room with normally. I've grown up in the world where we've learned a lot of the mistakes that have been made in the past. So for us, impact is almost second nature because we kind of don't want to screw up the things again. And I think there are a lot of good frameworks around the world right now which are supporting on impact. There's a university in Finland, Aalto, which is doing a PhD in impact, and I have a lot of friends that study there. So I'm kind of doing my own research about what is the cutting edge of impact versus impact in general, if you know what I mean. I'm trying to make a difference for us and our stakeholders, and the time I spend on it to be a bit different. Yeah.
So companies such as I know an Indian guy called Sriram who is located in Kenya. He creates micro learning, so you can get these 3 minutes or 60 seconds on, especially related to agri entrepreneurs, and that has a huge impact on how to treat your corn and really, and he's also he calls it Kosa, and he's one of these companies that are also has a certain stamp on it as being a good company. So what does you, Pelle, say? Pelle from Duland, Pelle Pedersen, investing, doing impact investment. What are some of the criteria you would set, and what goes on in your mind when you're looking for an impact investment?
Well, I think if you are a VC investor or private equity investor investing directly in startups, you shouldn't think any differently when you talk about impact companies. Unfortunately, a lot of VC companies and VC funds and private equity funds, business angels, they still see impact investing as something different, and it's basically not. I remember a few years ago when I was in a panel with an impact investor here in Denmark, not from Denmark, but saying that when you invest in impact-driven startup, it's more riskier. It's simply not true. You're basically investing in companies that are positioning themselves for how the society will unfold. The problem for many investors, as I see it at least, is that we are not really able to fathom how fast this change will happen. So when we are assessing impact-driven startups, we are actually assessing them in the wrong way, because we haven't really seen any major exits within impact startups, which will enable these entrepreneurs to assess new companies in the right way. So basically today we have an old industry now assessing a completely new range of entrepreneurs. And I can just see that for myself when we speak with investors, but also when I was at PKA, which is an institutional investor. When, let's say, a typical asset manager was looking at a microfinance fund or potential startups to invest in, to give one example, at one point I heard a portfolio manager say that solar, wind, and water has no competitive advantages against fossil fuels. So if that's the mindset a lot of investors have when they're exploring impact investments, then we're not really going to move ahead. So we need new funds, we need new family offices, we need new foundations, pension funds to really move into that space in order to accelerate it. I see a major problem here.
What about What about this mantra of scalability? If it's not scalable, it's not worth investing in. I would say, for example, a company like Noma, the restaurant that has been nominated and won the best restaurant in the world several times, etc. Now they have a bit of a hard time, but that is valuable, I guess, because it's not scalable. Except it could do like Jamie Oliver and make cutlery and pans and do an app on how to chop an onion and stuff. But they have stayed non-scalable, and that has made them valuable, I suppose.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point. Fortunately, I'm not hearing so many VC and private equity investors are now saying, "Are you going to be the next unicorn in 2 years?" you can actually create a lot of value, financial value, and also impact-driven value by still being a much smaller company. It's sort of, we've taken the lessons from, or the learnings from Silicon Valley and say, winner takes all. And that's basically still the approach a lot of investors have when they assess startups. And again, going back to what you said, you need to scale in 3 years and just be completely massive. But you can actually create, as I mentioned before, you can create a lot of value, both for the investors, but also from the society, in being just a bit smaller instead of having a 10 billion valuation mark in 3 years' time.
In other words, we need to run something. We run something called the Creative Business Academy for startups, and actually, Stefan has been speaking to both the Americans and the Africans and the Europeans. But we should run for investors. Impact investment for investors should be something, and we should get hold of you, Pelle, to put together a program to make sure that more investors, VCs, equity funds, they find out why this is just as good as one of the big scalable Ubers or Airbnbs. Moving to Stefan. Yeah, let's do that. Stefan, I remember we have talked briefly back and forth on, the obviously NARC, it's not an impact investment, although you will, if you succeed, have a great impact on the online gaming in generations to come, because it will a game that will continue. But maybe also there is a part of NARC that is also impact, in the sense that you are creating also a platform where people can earn money when they play, right?
Yes. In a sense, we maybe keep this low key, but it's our, among our founders, you say it's our contribution to the citizen pay or freedom dividends, or what you call it, in the sense that time, all our time always has a value. 1 hour is the same for us, however it contains a different value among ourselves. And usually, in most cases, when you go to have these games, you spend a lot of time in a world or a game, and you build something up, and you can't sell it. You can't do anything with it. So if you lose interest or whatever, you just, it's a sunk cost, which then has spurred a black market around that. We'll be embracing that in the sense that we basically allow. So if I have plenty of time and need money, I can do what we call the grind in those type of games. It's the daily work, chopping wood or mining or whatever. So Pelle can, purchase that off me in terms of the in-game currency, because he has limited time and, wants to do, larger warfare or what he wants within that reality. So yeah, in a sense, you could say that that can offer an impact. I mean, World of Warcraft saw a spike when their economy really fell. There was a spike from Venezuela of people playing World of Warcraft, doing actually this, gold farming there, trading that for Bitcoin to put food on the table.
So if I wanted to impress someone that how fantastic I am, I could simply go and buy some skins from a Venezuelan that has worked hard on it, and then it's a win-win. He would get some money, and I would get a better standing in World of Warcraft or Fortnite if I was playing those.
In a sense, it's kind of, when you go to our type of game, which is a sandbox, it's mimicking reality. The closer you get to reality. And how is reality? I mean, when I was 20-year-old, I painted my own apartment because I couldn't afford. Well, I can't paint, and it's easier because I had little money. Today I would hire a painter to do it, because I'm in a different place.
Yeah. I'm sorry, you guys, but we're out of time, and I'm sorry that I planned these four fantastic guys and 20 minutes to speak about impact investment. We have to get back to this issue, and we'll do that. So stay tuned, all of you startups in the field and also you investors in the field. We will get back to impact investment in the creative industries, and we will again include Stefan Alsson, Carlos Mancia, Pelle Pedersen, and Kosa in that discussion. So thanks a lot for being part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Now we're moving on to our keynote speech by Caterina Meloni. Caterina Meloni, she's from Connecting Founders, and she will speak about raising capital for female founders in Southeast Asia. If some of you have questions for Caterina, you can write them in the chat, and I'll see if I can multitask here. And otherwise, Caterina, let's just hear, are you there?
Yes, hi, I'm here.
Excellent. You are ready to, the Zoom is yours.
Great. Let me share a few slides.
There we go. Excellent.
Okay, so first of all, hi everyone. I'm Caterina, joining from Bangkok, Thailand. Thank you for inviting me. Very happy to participate in this creative group. I'll share today a little bit about Connecting Founders' experience in raising capital, female founders, because that's our focus. So I'll just give a little bit of intro about who we are. This is myself and my two partners. I founded the company a few years back in 2015. My background is in gender lens investing. I started when the word gender lens investing didn't even exist. It was basically access to finance for women. And then it went through different iterations. My partners come from fund management, private equity, distressed. And actually the experience with special situation has proven to be very significant, not only for working with small businesses, but also particularly clearly in 2020, given what happened to the business sector, where a lot of the businesses are actually hitting distress stage. So for us, we are capital advisors. We work as fundamentally intermediaries between female founders and investors. We help them raise capital. I would say about 80% of our current portfolio is businesses led and owned by women, and the rest is male founders, which is good because actually gives us a little bit of different perspective. So in terms of the geographic portfolio, we're very heavily focused on Southeast Asia. You'll see here there are two companies that are outside the region from the UK and Hong Kong, but actually both of them have operations in Thailand. So it's very heavily focused on Southeast Asia, with Thailand and Indonesia being our focus countries. Sector portfolio, we're agnostic, sector agnostic. We go from beauty, ed tech, sustainable living. What all of our businesses have in common is that they have some sort of sustainability DNA, as I would call it, in the sense that they all are pursuing one of the SDGs one way or the other. In terms of the size, most of them now in 2020, they are raising a seed to pre-series A round. The average raise is about $1 million to $1.5 million. And we also work with other businesses in terms of portfolio acceleration. So just to set the context of what we mean when we talk about the opportunity of investing in women-led SMEs in the region in Southeast Asia, this is a snapshot. It shows there's a funding gap of close to $40 billion. And this is information, this is data that comes from IFC of the World Bank and focuses really on a specific segment of the business sector. We are not including the very small one, and we're not including the very large ones. So it's basically the ones that tend to have revenues between $100,000 and $15 million. Fundamentally, the small and the medium. Now, for us, we are We are consciously focusing on female founders for different reasons. One is because we see there is a lot of need in the market for products and services that are better suited to female customers fundamentally. Women consumers have traditionally been neglected, and now because of the increase in purchasing power, female consumers are just becoming more demanding. Then the other thing is also that obviously women founders are underserved in the investment industry, so there is a need for that. Well, I'll talk about it a little bit more in detail in a few slides. And then also, and that's not a secret, is the fact that women entrepreneurs tend to spend more of their income on health, education, not only in their household, but supporting the community. So for us, working with female founders gives us an opportunity to contribute to the society and the economy in a way that is stronger than otherwise. So what I'd like to do today is just focus on a few lessons learned that we've regained, through working with these businesses and highlighting the challenges. And I think actually a lot of what I'll talk about is applicable to entrepreneurs in different regions. So I'll mention the challenge number one that we see is really the language gap between entrepreneurs and investors. And this is one of the most difficult things because their perspective is very different. For entrepreneurs, it's quite difficult to, at early stage, to see themselves from an investor's perspective. They typically very comfortable talking about product and market, the team. But actually, when you're fundraising, your business becomes the product and the perspective is very different. So instead of thinking about, is this possible, which is what the typical entrepreneur's perspective, then you need to look at it as, is this probable and profitable, and how long is it going to take for it to materialize? So we actually spent quite a bit of time going through this investment readiness work with entrepreneurs. So fundamentally getting them to the stage where they're ready to pitch, they're ready to fundraise, they can present their story in a way that makes sense to investors, and so it really addresses the concerns that investors have. In 2020, as I said, this year, we actually worked with a lot of seed stage businesses, and that's a very critical stage because all of them have previously raised from angels, but it's a complete different perspective in going from angel investors where individuals often become mentors, friends sometimes, to actually raising institutional money. So that's quite a lift. And then another thing that we do here, and I'm not sure if it's as relevant, for example, in Denmark or in some of the countries that are represented here today, it's like we spend actually quite a lot of time in making entrepreneurs understand that there are different types of capital, the different investors with different risk and returns, and trying to come up with a capital structure that is the best for that particular business at that particular stage. And one of the things that is that happens here in Southeast Asia when it comes to the startup scene, fundamentally early stage businesses, is that the default mode is that they need to give up equity to be able to raise capital. And that's not necessarily the case. In fact, many of the businesses that we work with, even though they're early stage, they're actually generating cash. And so they're in a position to look at different alternative funding, perhaps not necessarily straight debt, but they can look at hybrid instruments such as mezzanine. Mezzanine in Southeast Asia is almost unheard of when it comes to, again, the startup scene, early stage. And so we're actually trying to raise awareness about that, about the fact that you don't necessarily need to give up equity unless you need to. So the second challenge, and then again, this is common to the rest of the world, is the fact that the investment industry is male dominated. This is a survey, a research actually, that was done by Deal Street Asia. Is one of the most well-known news outlets when it comes to startup VC investing in Southeast Asia. And they found that about just over 20% of partners in the investment industry in the region are women. And then close to 75% of funds have no women whatsoever in decision-making positions. Now, obviously, that affects female founders' ability to raise capital, is simply because investors tend to clearly invest in business and problems that they can understand. And so it becomes much more difficult when you're looking at businesses that are typically focusing on problems experienced by women. For example, we have a company in our portfolio, and it's a natural skincare company. And now that it was very difficult for the founder to try to really explain her value proposition to male investors, simply because even though everybody can understand, everybody knows that the market opportunity for natural skincare is huge, it becomes very difficult to be able to really assess the moat and the comparative advantage of one product if you haven't experienced that yourself.
Sorry to interrupt you. So you're actually doing interpretation on two levels. One is the interpretation that you mentioned before, which was between for the startups to understand the language of the investors and the investors of the startups. But you also have to do the interpretation of this $37 billion gap between these opportunities, the funding needs among female founders and actually the investors. So it's a twofold. One is to understand what's depth, and another one is why is this a good company? Because the men don't understand the solution these female founders are providing to problems that mainly the women are experiencing, maybe.
Yes, we do. We work fundamentally as intermediaries, which we are in between. So yes, there is a little bit of both. Now, of course, this issue that I just mentioned right now is if the products are, again, only focusing on addressing female problems, so to say. So addressing products and services that only women use or typically women use. Of course, you can have female founded companies that have products and services that everybody uses, and that will be different, right? So here, what I wanted to show is that things are changing, things are improving. This is a snapshot of the female partners in the VC industry in Southeast Asia. Again, this research counted 39. That's of a couple of months ago. Of course, if you add the other players in the investment industry, so if you add, for example, family offices, foundations, impact investors, then the number would also go up. But fundamentally, if you're looking, as I mentioned, if you're an early stage company, most likely you're going to end up talking to a lot of VCs. And so that's the landscape that you'll be looking at. Then the third challenge that I'd like to mention, which is actually the most difficult one, again, this is a global problem, it really isn't only Southeast Asia, is the investor biases, the famous unconscious biases that, by the way, we actually see across both male investors and female investors. They're very hard because they are unconscious, but fundamentally makes it much more difficult for women to raise capital, because the typical biases that we see is that female-founded companies are associated with being small, so small size, and having a limited growth potential. And so obviously, when it comes to trying to access capital, that has a direct effect. One, it becomes much more difficult. Oftentimes they're turned down. And B, they might end up raising at a higher cost because they're fundamentally considered more risky. So one of the things, particularly now with COVID, this has actually become even more evident. And again, because we also work with male founders, we actually see we actually are able to see a little bit of a comparison. And we do notice that a lot of the biases when it comes to women come up on the how to, really the execution. So female founders are grilled much more heavily on the how to, what is your go-to-market strategy? How are you going to be able to get to customers? How are you going to be able to convert them? And yada, yada, yada. So there is much more doubts and questioning about their ability to really do what they're trying to do. So how are we addressing that? Well, this is a really difficult spot, so I cannot claim to have a magic solution. What we're trying to do on our side is we trying to get our the businesses that we work with as ready as possible, so they have their story. They have their story down really well in terms of the key metrics. They're fluent with what's needed in their particular sector, so that they project. They are confident, they project confidence. And also one of the things that we do is like we try to be a little bit more vocal about that, you know, together with other organizations that are working in this space and try to raise awareness. So I think that's basically probably the only way to go about it. I think the more we talk about it, then the more likely are that investors become more aware of these unconscious biases. They pay more attention and they start checking their own biases. And with time, things will probably get better. So I think I'm going to stop.
There are lots of studies. I think there's lots of studies into this bias that investors have, and also if there's a man and a woman on a team pitching, that they will address the man before the women, and they will ask different kind of questions. All that has been thoroughly analyzed, and it's bad for investors. Actually, it's of course it's bad for the founders, but the investors lose out of a lot of opportunities, right?
Sure, of course they do. I mean, we also see the difference. Of course, when there are mixed teams, it's much easier. Honestly, the most difficult thing is when you've got full female teams, you know. But the reality of it is also because there are a lot of business networks that are still quite male dominated. So I think also in the investor mind, they kind of think that for men, it's easier to access certain networks. So I think, but then of course, as you said, there is a lot of research that shows that it is actually not real reasons. It's not justified by financial returns. So as I said, these are unconscious biases. Most investors are not doing that maliciously. They're just really unconscious that they're doing that. And so I think just talking about it, you know, then that will change over time.
Let me just give an example here. In 2019, we had the Creative Business Cup Global Finals. And for the first time since 2012, when we started, a Danish company won. And the company is called Lapee, LAPEE.DK. You can go in and check it out. And it's a urinal for women. I ran my first marathon when I was 18, and I've been to Roskilde Festival since 1994, which is a huge festival with 200 bands on 6 stages or so, and then for some reason, women are always standing in line. They always are standing in line for big sports events, and they're always standing in line at big concerts and cultural events. And they drink less. They drink less because they don't want to stand in line. And I think it's so amazing that only here in 2019, the world is discovering that women also have to pee, and that is actually something that is worth investing in. And now they have Lapee. They have 3 different IP protections, both patent. They have also a design protection and a brand protection. And the fact that this is something that is brand new and it can even win the Creative Business Cup, that is something that hasn't been up here already 50 years ago, shows that this bias exists. And also I think with the 37 billion funding gap, that is a clear that there's clearly something there. And this is just in Southeast Asia. Let's take the rest of the world, and then I don't know what the figure will be. I'm sorry, we have to move on. Katarina Meloni from Connecting Founders, but you can write your LinkedIn address. You have it also here. How to contact you in the chat. I would like to thank you very much for zooming in from Bangkok. Now we're moving to Søren Lund on how to get funded. He's with CVX Venture Capital. So Søren Lund, now the Zoom is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. I'm just going to share my screen quickly. Just a moment. It will be here. Let me know if you can see it. Great. So I bet that all of you probably know the feeling of chasing after a girl or a guy that you really like. You find him or her interesting, and he or she just has she has the sweetest smile, and you would do almost anything to get this person. Uh, but how do you do that? You probably don't want to seem desperate, because that'll probably ruin it. Ideally, you would want that person to come to you, because that works. Obviously, once that person catches interest in you. So why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because doing that is a lot like raising capital. And I'm going to tell you why that is. So first of all, my name is Søren Lund. I am a venture manager here at CVX Ventures, where we invest in growth companies. And because raising capital is so important for companies, we started CVX to build and develop these growth companies. So my job here at CVX is to build and develop our venture departments and make sure that we make the right investments. So my job is basically to speak to growth companies, and I do that on a daily basis, and that is super interesting. I love that, and the job is basically to create value. So when we start speaking to a company, we start to see how can we create value for this company, both in terms of raising capital, but also in terms of finding the right people. We see that a lot of companies, they really benefit from getting investors on board who will also invest with their skills. And so that is what we really focus on. Now, when going out and raising capital, a lot of entrepreneurs, they believe that by having a good company, they will get investment. So good company equals investment. However, that is not always the case. It is more of a prerequisite for raising capital. It is very rare that you can raise capital for a company that is just straight up bad. So this is based on an assumption that states investors are rational. People believe that investors are rational beings, that they're professional, and they do their due diligence and their analysis. And in most cases, they do their due diligence, they do make analysis, but they're still not rational. And that is a lot based on a book that I want to mention. And let me just say, I do not get any royalty payment for mentioning this book. I just love it. I want to mention it to you guys. It's called Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman, who explored this area of behavioral economics. And one of the most important points in this book is that the following quote I want to highlight, that people buy on emotions and then they justify with logic. And that is also the case for investments. So you have to see an investment a lot like a sale. So you want to make sure that the buyer is interested for looking at your specifications and all of that. You have to get their attention. So you need basically the buyer to fall in love with you. And that is also the case for investors. You need the investor to fall in love with you.
Are you saying that people are not buying cars or like a Ferrari or a Ducati motorcycle because they want to get somewhere, but because they want to tell a story about themselves or something else?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, it is a means of transportation. But if what you need is a means of transportation, you could buy something a lot cheaper and a lot more convenient. Buying a Ferrari is emotional. That is about self-realization, and investing is also based on that. So let's say that you want to get the best means of transportation. If you translate that to an investment, it means that you will always invest in the best company in terms of whichever metrics that you are looking at. But that's not the case. It's more a prerequisite. So of course you need to be a great company to be investable, but that's not always enough. We see a lot of great companies which do not get investments, or do not get the right investments at least. So what you basically need is that you need to give the investors a reason to spend time on you. So that means you need to attract them in the first place. And that it goes back to, chasing after the girl or guy that you like. The first thing is you need to catch their attention. and it's a lot like that, raising capital. So I you know, it's just super important to think about this, to think about raising capital as a sale. You need to be attractive. And the next point is that you also need to make it easy to invest in you. You know, a lot of companies, they go out and think that, okay, I'm a great company now, so investors will come to me and I can easily raise capital. That's just not the case. You need to make it easy to invest in you. And, you know, a big part of that is to be prepared. So we see a lot of companies coming to us saying that they need funding, and we say, sure. I take a couple of meetings with them to explore, first of all, you know, who are they, what is the business model. Then I go ahead and I try to dig further into this business model, perhaps further into the metrics. And for example, I will ask for a pitch deck, or I will ask to look at the budget. And a lot of companies they just don't have that ready. And if they do, it's probably not very well done. I'm surprised by how many growth companies who do not have the ability to produce good material, and a lot of companies think it's a waste of time, but it should not be a waste of time to produce, let's say, a budget, because a budget should also help you on your journey. It should be like the lead for you where to go. So make sure that you're investable. Do not give the investor a reason not to invest. It's a lot about momentum when you enter into a conversation with an investor. And let's say you approach an investor and you come off to a great start. You have the natural attraction, and then the investor starts to do his or her due diligence. You want to make sure you have the momentum. If the investor tells you, "Hey, I would love to look into your financials," and you say, "Hey, okay, so I have not really prepared anything. Let me go back to my accountant, or let me see if I can put something together. I'll get back within a couple of weeks." Guess what? Often that's too late. The investor will have other offers on the table, and the investor will go for that. Remember that most investors, they're looking at a ton of companies all the time. So remember that, built on momentum. So don't give the investors a reason to stop the process. Instead, give them a reason to stay on board the process all the time. See if you can control that, and you will be so much more investable. So that comes back to the two main points that I want to highlight towards the end here. It is, first of all, make yourself attractive. Be present. However that may be. We always say that if a tree falls in the forest and nobody hears it, does it make a sound? Yeah. Do anybody really know that? You have to make yourself visible, and you have to make yourself attractive. Now, after you gain that first attraction, make it easy. Make it easy to invest in you. Don't give the investors a reason to say no.
Thank you, Søren.
So that's the main points I want to highlight, and that was it for me. Yeah.
So, Søren, the recommendations you gave us, they could apply to any startups, I believe, quite generally. Do you think there's any other recommendations for the creatives, so to speak, for a gaming company, or for a fashion company, or for the next Cirque du Soleil?
Absolutely. So what I see is a lot of creative companies that I speak to. Sometimes they focus a bit too much on being creative, in their pitch. Because, for example, let's take the impact side of it. I believe, and there was a good point earlier on, that they focus on too much on stating that they're impact startups. For me, or as an investor, you will look at it as another feature, and you say, okay, the consumers right now, they demand impact products. So basically, you're not an impact company. You're just selling a product that is in demand. So focus on that, because a lot of investors, we see a lot of investors going into the impact space, by the way. So that's really, really nice to see. But also a lot of investors, they don't really care about it. They want to invest in good deals because they have an obligation to make returns. And so I believe that many impact companies can be really, really good investments. But they focus a little bit too much on it.
We had a company like that in 2016 here in Denmark, with the Creative Business Cup Denmark was won by Carcel. Carcel are making, if you took it simply as an investment, they're making high quality luxury products in alpaca, wool, and silk. The other side of it is that they're actually having women in prisons in Peru and Thailand make these high quality alpaca products and silk products. And the revenue, part of the revenue from selling these products goes to the children of these women in the prisons in Peru and in Thailand. So on one hand, it's a great investment if you want to go into the fashion industry, because they're doing really well. They had, I believe, 6 pages in our local Financial Times, and they're really, in that sense, a really good fashion company. But on the other hand, if you're interested in helping children of women in prisons in Peru and Thailand, then it's also a great social impact. So it's also sometimes balancing how the pitch should be, I suppose.
Exactly. You just want to make sure that the value proposition of your company translates into traction, because it's not enough to be impactful alone. You need to make sure that customers also buy into that idea, and if they do, investors will find it attractive.
It's like we talked earlier on fashion and sustainable fashion, etc. We should all be wearing jeans, because then we would only wash it, we should only wash it 4 times a year or so, and the rest of the time we should just rinse it in cold water. We have to make sure that we find out what do the customers really want at the end of the day, and sometimes it still is the lowest price and the biggest selection somehow.
Sometimes yes. And I think you cannot change that overnight. I think it comes a lot. We see the change, luckily. So, but you cannot change that overnight. That's just how it is.
So some of us will still buy some chicken, where the value of all the food that they consume during the whole lifetime is less than 50 cents. So that will still happen. Thanks a lot, Søren. We could keep on asking you questions for another hour or so, but we have to move on. I'm already running a bit late. I'm sorry about that. But thank you, Søren.
Thank you so much.
CWX Venture Capital. Thank you. Now we're moving back to Chile, to Carlos Mancia from Social Growing. We already got a bit of an introduction before, but you are moving, this is really fascinating, both social toilet paper and social mining. And you are actually already sending copper out of the mines. But now, Carlos, the Zoom is all yours.
Thanks. I will share the screen. Can you see the screen?
We can see that you're sharing it, yes. And
yes, the presentation. It's okay?
Perfect. It's right there.
Good.
Excellent. Go for it.
Well, thanks everybody. I'm happy to be here. My name is Carlos Mancia. I am the owner, the CEO, and the happiness manager of Social Growing. We are from Chile. We are based in Santiago, in the capital of Chile. And we will talk about how we can finance our social impact company. Social Growing, what we do, what we are, we develop disruptive social companies. We focus in disruptive models to disrupt the markets, using collaborative financing to change the old-fashioned business paradigm. So we have a new paradigm, so we create new business models using this new model. So why we started Social Growing 5 years ago? Well, we are in Chile. We are in a deep and profound social crisis because we have the highest inequity of the OECD. So we are a rich country because we have a lot of copper and different resources, but we have the highest inequity, so we have a huge social problem now. We have 40 years.
I think it's called the Gini factor, right? So you have a lot of wealthy people and some that are really, really poor.
Yes, that's right. So the 1% of the wealthy here in Chile is in hands of they have the 45% of the capital. So the 1% have the 45% of the capital. So it's huge. So that is the reason why the social outbreak in October 2019 was so big. Millions of people go to demand a change of the model here in Chile. So that's why the 40 years of business corruption here in Chile, we have a lot of cartels in different markets, supermarkets, toilet paper, chicken meat, pharmacy, so and impunity. So all these huge companies were unpunished. So impunity is a huge problem, and these companies are operating normally here in Chile. So the market, the people here in Chile are demanding new solutions. So and in Chile and the rest of the world, obviously, we are highly impacted by climate change. So in Chile, we have a huge drought for more than 10 years. So we need solutions for society and solution for sustainability. So we focus only in that kind of business. So, but social growing is a new model too. So we mix cooperative models, circular economy, permaculture, fair trade to quantum physics, human development, social development. We have a department of social development. We focus in disrupting business models. We use the best practices of the industry, the best engineering, the industry practices, and we use crowdfunding to finance all these disrupted ideas. So we have this model in a book. We have a lot of videos. We are inspiring here in Chile entrepreneurs to start their social impact companies, and using our model that is focused in happiness, in collaboration. We are focusing in develop models to change the world. So our first company is Incoludido. Incoludido is a toilet paper company. I never thought that I will be in the toilet paper industry, but we started because there is a huge cartel in the supermarkets and the toilet paper. So the price here, the price of the toilet paper here in Chile is more expensive than that US is. Indeed, it's more expensive than Asia, or indeed more expensive than Germany. So it's so crazy. So the mission of Incoludido is end with all this cartel in the basic product for home. So we started now developing other kinds of products like cleaning products, detergent, etc. And we will move into the basic product for food, you know. So we want to become the highest and the biggest social retail chain in Chile, disrupting the traditional supermarket industry. So now Incoludido started from zero. Now we have a big headquarters. We have a lot of clients. We have more than 15,000 clients. We have a big warehouse, a lot of people working with us. And we started all this with crowdfunding. The social impact is very important because part of the profit of this company, we use that money to help kids without homes. We are helping community, donating toilet paper for social initiatives in different parts of Santiago and Chile, the Red Cross, etc. And we use the marketing, our marketing strategy in the street is using social street art, you know. So we transform some part of the city using graffiti and colors, and this is before our intervention, and this is after our interventions. And the people love us because we are doing this, and we shared
I hope you had Rubik's Cube sponsor it.
Would be great. Yeah. So we do a lot of art in the streets. So people likes love our work, so they buy Incoludido because we are doing this. Yeah. So the most important was that we use crowdfunding and social investor to develop these ideas. So we have, in the case of Incoludido, we have more than 480 social investors. We have raised more than $1 million to develop the concept and the product and the business model. And we get money from regular people, doctors, engineers, teachers, entrepreneurs, musicians, etc. So it's different than the big venture capital or family office investors. So are regular people that most of these people are fans of us because we have more than 200,000 fans in our social medias. So when you start a business, a social business, you need to raise capital during the first years. So when you want to kickstart, you need the minimum viable products, and for that you have to use most of the time your own capital, your family and friends capital. And crowdfunding is really important, because when you use crowdfunding at the very beginning, you are showing your idea to the world, and you are validating your model if you get the money. In the case of Incoludido, we raised $30,000 to start the brand and make the first shipment of toilet paper. And then we started getting social investors. So the social investor, when you're developing your products, you're developing your marketing campaign, etc., you need more money than the very beginning, and then you need more money for get position in the market, get some mature in your company about technology, processes, people, and then you have to move to scale and refine your business model, go to other geographies, and then you need more money. And in that time, you have to think more into equity or big investors. So the keys for social financing is the people have the power. Now we have social medias, we are all connected, and the consciousness of the people and the market, the customers, is changing, is increasing. People, they don't need us only a product or only a service. They want more, they want an experience, they want to be part of something. Yes. So the first thing is you have to have a social solution, something that with more value than only a product or a service. So you have to communicate it. So you have to create your social medias and get followers. So as I said, in Incoludido, we started with thousands of followers, and now we have 200,000 fans. So you have to start with crowdfunding. It's very
How many fans
useful.
did you say?
200,000.
Wow, impressive.
Yes. So, and in Chile we have 70 million. So using our social medias, we are impacting in the market with more than 2 million people looking our work through social medias. So start with crowdfunding. I said it's important. That is the first validating method of your idea, of your team, and then you move to an ethical investment campaign. You use social media to show the people that the regular people, they can invest in you. So they invest $2,000 or maybe more, but a small amount of capital, but you have a lot of hundreds of investors. Then you use contracts. In our case here in Chile, we use contracts for profitability. We use 12 and 36 months terms. The term is fixed and the interest is fixed too, and the interest is higher than the bank. So we finance with less interest than the banks, and the people that invest with us, they get more money than if they invest in the banks. So you have to create financial management in your company. You have to have one guy that is continually looking the cash flow. So you will every month looking for more capital and covering all your ideas and your work during the first month.
Carlos, we need to slowly wrap it up.
Okay.
As I mentioned to you in the chat personally.
Uh-huh.
How many slides do you have left?
Only one. Okay,
one. Excellent.
Yes. So you have to create your financial network. We use WhatsApp. So all these 480 investors are in the same group in WhatsApp. So we share information. We are transparent. We send company report for these social investors, and we check the investor happiness. So if our investors are happy, we get more investors. And you have to show always the results in using your social media. The fans will become an investor. So then you have to think in a scale. So that is the time for equity, or you can use cryptocurrency or something like that. So in the monthly work, you have to a cycle that every month you have to check your business objective, your cost, your revenue, how much investment do you want to or do you need, and you have to start raising investor using the social medias. Then you show the results, and the people get more involved in your company, and you attract more investors. So if you need more information about social growing, about Incoludido, about social investor, here is my info. You can check me by LinkedIn or email or WhatsApp.
Gracias muchos, Carlos.
Muchas gracias a todos.
This is really good. Put your link as your LinkedIn and your contact info also in the chat if you don't mind.
Yes,
that would be really good.
Perfect.
Thanks for inviting me. Among our jury, the next jury, we have Torsten Kuhlin, who speaks Spanish. He's Danish, and he's been part of setting up the Startup Chile program, just like Malta are attracting gaming companies from Iceland. Chile has been for quite some years now been attracting startups to Chile by offering them a place in the program for Startup Chile. Before we go into the next segment, so thank you a lot, Carlos. Before we go into the next segment, which is the most investable startup of the year with the top 5 finalists, I think it would be good for all of you to know what will happen in the 3 different tracks that we are doing right after the pitch. Because I can see here, it's a bit difficult for me to completely multitask, but I can see there is the wonderful, amazing Sarah Endline from New York. She's in there. She's a specialist on food and also a lot of other stuff. Sarah Endline, she's also part of the EO, not Captain EO from Disneyland, but actually the EO Entrepreneurs Organization. Hi, Sarah. It's good that you're here. But I really are happy that you can participate along with other great people that we have from EO. But I would just like to know if we could, is Maria or someone ready to just announce who will be in the different tracks? If we can we do that? You can just do it from there where you are. We can just hear who's part of that.
Okay, we have Mateo Baniato for investor and moderator for Play and Learn. And one moment. Then for the music, we have the amazing Guillaume Terrien. I'm sorry for my pronunciation in French. And as well as Patty Newby. They'll both be moderating the music track. And the third one, the foods track, would be, as you said, Sarah Endline along with Indrek Kasela.
So Indrek Kasela, no chance to jump out, or you have to jump in at least at 4:30. 4:30 CET. I think you're in Estonia, so that's at 5:30 EET, Eastern European Time. Yes. So now you know we have. So that was all the 3 tracks, Ioana?
Yes, these are the 3 tracks, and we have also amazing startups in these tracks. Should I mention some of the names? Yes,
that would be great. That would be great.
In the music track, we have Lo-Fi, Worm, and Soundtractor. In the food sector, we have Clean Hub, and then for Play and Learn, Build It, School and Online, and Twisted Tales.
Excellent. I can recommend all of you to stay tuned, because the next segment will now be 5 startups pitching, and there will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 investors listening to them, asking questions. It will be more or less 3 minutes pitching, 2 or 3 minutes pitching, and 2 or 3 minutes Q&A from the investors, and then next one. So it will be quite to the point, direct. I've seen it done 2 + 2, but we're going to do 2, 3 + 2, 3. Okay. But after that, while the jury is out to vote, we will have the 3 different tracks: Play and Learn, Music, and Food, that Ioana was so kind to inform us on. Just so you know, and there are some great people. Now I mentioned Sarah, but there are also other great people in the chat hiding behind different kind of IDs that will be listening into your pitches. Just as a small curiosity, yesterday evening or afternoon, they rang on my doorbell, and this DHL guy came in with some huge boxes of stuff, and that's from Build It in Lebanon. You know, in Lebanon, they really need to rebuild a lot of stuff. They had this huge, tragic, terrible explosion, and already in 2017, Build It from Lebanon came in and taught how to build. So this is how to really mix the cement and build up your houses. So a little PR here for Build It that you will hear in Play and Learn. And if you're still looking for Christmas presents, Build It is really a good suggestion to go and get. It's quite heavy, but it's also definitely worth it if you want to teach your kids, your daughters or sons, STEAM, you know, or STEAM with arts, you know, that is really the thing. Good. So now we're ready for the pitch. And I would like to just mention who we have in the jury first. We have Guillaume Terrine, who is the general manager of Zoo in Canada. And he was also part of the Creative Business Cup Global Finals jury in 2019. Guillaume, can we just make sure that your microphone is working? If you can say, bonsoir, comment ça va?
Il est encore bonjour in Canada.
Yeah, tu es un peu mouflé. Je ne sais pas comment est le mot pour ça. We don't hear you that well. You sound a bit muffled.
Okay. Is it better?
Maybe you need to just simply grab the cord and hold it up to your mouth.
Is it better this way?
Yeah, that's already a bit better. Excellent. Then Juliana Schulze from Media Deals, a board member at Media Deals, and also a great partner for Creative Business Network through many years. Juliana Schulze, can we just hear you?
Hello. Welcome, everybody. Good to see you. Hi, Rasmus.
Hi, Juliana. You go through clearly. Excellent. Thank you. And then we have also on the investment board, Torsten Kohlin that I mentioned before. Torsten, you are now back from, after being in Silicon Valley for many years, you're back in Denmark where you belong. Are you there? Can we hear your beautiful voice as well?
Hello, bonjour, hola, buenos dias, good day, hello, good afternoon.
Excellent, super, Torsten. And then we have Søren Stenderup from AML Media. Søren Stenderup, are you there as well?
I'm here, sure.
Excellent, super duper. And Michael Rabonza from Thailand. It must be quite late in the evening if you are based in Thailand. Are you there, Michael?
Yes, I'm here. Hi, nice to meet all of you. Great to be here. Excited to be listening to the pitches this evening.
Good that you're here as well. What time is it right now?
Just over almost 10 p.m.
Almost 10 p.m. Good that you're with us. So now we heard from the 5 investors, and now we're ready to also hear from the selected startups. So we had several startups, lots of startups. I don't know how many actually, to be honest, that applied to be part of this pitch, and we selected a top 5. And we'll start out with Film Do Edutainment. Film Do Edutainment, are you there?
Hi, hello, hi, Barada.
Hey there. So we're not counting the time yet. You should if you have a PowerPoint, you can share your screen. As soon as that screen is up, then we'll count the 3 minutes, okay?
Sure, thanks. Okay.
And here we go.
Sorry.
Excellent. Go for it.
How many people here have tried to learn a language using an app during the lockdown? And how many of you have actually ended up dropping off and never getting around to finishing your course as planned? On the other hand, did you know that the average person spent at least 6 hours per day staring in front of their screen at the height of the pandemic? Now imagine if all that time watching content online, you could also be learning a new language at the same time. I'm Barada, the CEO and co-founder of FilmDo. And I'm here to introduce our game-based edutainment platform that makes it easy and fun to teach and learn languages through engaging film. With current language learning solutions, there's an industry-wide problem of high dropout rates of 90%, especially as overnight, schools, universities, and language schools have all needed to move online. The need to find a cost-effective solution to help the student engagement online has never been higher. Expanding into EdTech allows FilmDo to expand into a $350 billion global EdTech market. 3 billion people are currently learning a foreign language, including 60% who are learning English. FilmDo is unique because we lie at the intersections of film, games, and AI, all coming together to make learning fun and effective. We actually first launched as a movie streaming platform. Today, we have one of the world's biggest international film catalog online. Last summer, in a user survey, over 70% of our users told us that the #1 reason they're coming to watch a film on FilmDo is they are learning a foreign language. So we went on to develop an innovative layer of EdTech that can now turn any film and video into an interactive lesson. Learning languages has never been more fun and enjoyable. Multiple students can now watch a film together and play along at the same time, testing their knowledge, all of which keeps the student focused and engaged. Our edutainment platform supports personalized learning, such as our AI, which recommends films based on students' language level. We're already being used by language schools and tutors around the world. We already have some great tractions with pilots in place with some of the world's biggest language learning institutions. The total number of students set to convert once the pilot ends is in the region of 400 to 500,000 students, which at $3 per month is a pretty sizable commercial opportunity. What's exciting is we're actually developing a whole new edutainment ecosystem across B2C and B2B, leveraging the language teachers for content, distribution, and marketing. Our 3-year financials forecast revenue reaching 50 million across 10 million users. But language learning is just the start. FilmDo is the future of learning. We are the way the modern student now learn. The average Gen Z now spend at least 4 hours a day watching mobile videos. Traditional teaching methods no longer keep students engaged, and mobile and video-based is what the modern students respond to. It's an exciting time, and join us together to bring about the edutainment revolution.
Excellent. That's 3 minutes. So this sounds really exciting. On one hand, if you want to learn this savage language of Danish with 28 vowel sounds, you can watch Festen, I suppose. And I can learn English by watching Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which is my favorite movie. So now we have questions from the investors, not from me. Sorry, I'll keep shut. Who want to go first? Juliana.
Yes, thank you very much, Verada, and
Hi, Julian.
great to see you again.
Thank you, we've met before, yes.
Fantastic. Look, I just probably have one question in regards to understanding your gamification approach. This is, of course, very interesting. It's a buzzword. People understand this is necessary. So how do you technically go about it, and where's the pedagogical angle that you have been choosing, which gives you hopefully a competitive advantage?
Exactly. So actually our learning tool is very different. It is game-based approach. So there was a slide you might remember where I said multiple students can play along at the same time and compete with each other. Our gamification is not just giving badges where you complete an exercise and you get badges. It's actually a very collaborative, but also having a fun competition. Multiple students can watch a film, they can play games along at the same time and compete. So it's using that game. The pedagogic comes from a guy called Stephen Krasner. Stephen Krasner was a linguist from the University of Southern California, where he said that the best...
Other questions. Just
okay.
Sure.
The best language learning acquisition comes when you have a positive learning experience. And, tests and exams keep students stressed, and that's why we never remember our language we learn in high school. But through having fun, positive experience, that's the best way for language retention and acquisition.
We should have one more question time. That's from, who was that? Torsten? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Irada. I was trying to learn Arabic and didn't get very far with it. So this is something I should use. But tell me about the 500,000 people you have in this pilot stage. How many of them are actually active?
Sorry, that's a total students of number of students set to convert once the pilot. The actual number of students in the pilot are 1,000 per school, a few hundreds per school. But I'd say about active, we're about around 5,000 to 10,000 students at the moment who's using the product right now.
Who are using the product. Okay, yes, and none of them are paying, but they're set to convert into paying. That's the idea.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
And how long did it take you to get there?
Well, we're in pilots right now, and they're set to convert in Q1 2021, yes. So the pilots are around 2 to 3 months, yes. And you'll be proud, I have an Arabic pilot. Sure.
Amazing.
That's the time we have. So thank you, Juliana, and thank you, Filmdu, and thank you also, Torsten. So for the remaining pitchers, and also for you guys, the investors, make your questions and your answers short, then we can cover more. Now we have Luxseed Robotics. Luxseed Robotics, are you there with us?
Hello,
hello. Yes, you are. Hello.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. You are welcome to speak a bit more clearly into the microphone if you can. Okay. Try again.
Wait. Now it's better?
Yeah, it's a bit better. It's a bit better. And you're not very well lit, but yeah, that's okay. Good.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me well too? I'm from Luxseed too. Okay, great.
Okay. Now go ahead.
Go ahead.
$43 billion will be lost if weeds are left untreated. And that's in US soybeans and cornfields alone. Weeds cause yield losses by stealing nutrients and water away from the crops. Farmers usually rely on expensive and unreliable hand weeding and on herbicides, which are harmful chemicals. Even more, many weed species have become herbicide resistant. For instance, one herbicide-resistant weed called blackgrass is costing the UK economy nearly £400 million each year. With healthier crops and a cleaner environment in mind, Luxseed is building a robot that uses a laser beam to kill more than 85% of the weeds and replace all traditional solutions into one. With its 6 patentable features, the robot Ultron can pave the way for farmers to adopt organic farming and make organic crops affordable to consumers. Luxseed encourages behavior shifting by using the same business model, which is the weeding service, and charging per hectare instead of hourly rate. Till now, we signed 6 letters of intent with onion farmers who are interested in the service, while 2 large-scale farmers are actually interested in buying the robot. We reach a product-to-market fit on specific crops, and we started with onions. Why? Because its weeding service is the most expensive when compared to other crops, and requires very high precision. Although Luxseed started in Lebanon, its innovative solution has the potential to expand to other markets in Europe. By taking only the onion market in Lebanon, France, Spain, and the Netherlands, there's a total market size of 120 million euros. Other imported crops are garlic, spinach, and romaine lettuce. Luxseed ensures profitability by granting better quality crops and higher yields, and its affordable service is hassle-free. And unlike herbicide spraying robots, which emerged recently, Ultron can tap into the growing organic market. In addition, our direct competitors are Escarda and SPL, and both are working on carrot fields. SPL already has a working laser robot, and Escarda will release its own in 2021. Till now, we gathered around 10,000 pictures from Lebanese onion fields to train our AI model, and we have a fully functional prototype ready to be deployed in the coming weeks for validation. In parallel, we will be conducting a second prior art search to look into these paintable features. In the first half of 2021, we want to perform R&D to select the best laser and improve on our prototype. With the MVP ready, we will start getting initial traction from Lebanese farmers and add crops to the robot. To achieve these goals, we will need funding, around $60,000 as grants before initial traction, and $150,000 in equity to build more robots and expand. Meeting these milestones and developing such a robot requires technical sophistication, and all of the co-founders with their engineering background and complementary skills have the ability to supervise all the aspects of this technology. Join us in our journey to make chemical spraying a thing of the past and organic crops a realizable future. Thank you.
Excellent. Right on time. 3 minutes. Good job. And let me know when you are ready with one for apple trees as well. I have a huge old apple tree. It's getting these insects in the apples every year that I can't get rid of. So, and also you should think of the co-op model, you know, because if you can have like a co-op, like a community of farmers, they could share it, I think. So it could be running around stuff. But that's, I'm not the, hey, who am I to ask all these questions?
No, it's fine. But I want to answer you just quickly. We can't work on apple because it's trees, actually. And the robot should pass on field.
I guess that. I guess that. So, but that's the next model, right? You have to keep expanding.
Yeah, we have to adapt with the drones later on.
You don't want to use laser beams on birds, so that would be a pity.
True.
So, any questions from the investors? Who would like to go first? Don't be shy. I can't see anyone. Michael? Oh, there we have one. It's Guillaume. Guillaume, go for it.
Yeah, I'm really impressed. I really like the idea behind. I've got one question about the 150K, like the ask. It seems low for a robot, for something that needs engineering and all that stuff. So how do you see the run away of that 150K?
Right. Fabio, you want to go ahead or answer?
Sure. So basically, we have costs that are shared between several robots, and then we have the hardware of each robot that is gonna be costly at some point, but it's not gonna cost so much. The real part that's gonna cost a lot, I think, is the software part of the robot. I mean, the AI technology and everything that comes along, the autonomous motion of the robot and everything like this. But these one can be integrated into all of the robots at the same time, so we don't need to make them again for each and every robot. This is the advantage of it.
Any other questions here? Let me see.
Torsten had a question.
Torsten, you have a question.
Yeah. Would you say that your sort of unique invention here is mostly in terms of the hardware, or is it in the machine learning that you're training the robot to do? And I ask because there's a bunch of people building robots. Maybe you could use some other off-the-shelf or base or something. So tell us about the hardware versus software, maybe.
Yeah. Well, it's a mix of both.
It's both, yes. Hello, everyone. I'm also part of Luxeed. So the hardware part, the secret sauce is the laser that we're gonna choose throughout R&D, where we choose the most effective laser that can actually meet the speed that the farmers want. That's a first. Of course, it's the secret sauce because, like you said, like you heard in the pitch, now herbicide spraying robots are in the market, and they save a lot of money from herbicides, but they're not sustainable, and they cannot tap into organic fields like the laser technology. So investing our time in that technology is really promising for the future. As for the AI, also it's in-house. Well, the race now is to make the AI happen, because we have, so the AI distinguishes between the weeds and the crops, and then we have to hit it at the center to make it effective. So this is a real challenge. This is why we're gonna put a lot of money inside the AI to make it happen, and yeah.
And to add on the hardware, we have 6 paintable features, so that make us a bit also different, you know. All right.
That was super helpful. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you to Luxeed Robotics.
Right.
Really exciting, and looking forward to see that happening on
your Apple TV
around us.
All right.
Next up is Mitero. Mitero, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
You are there, Mitero. Robert Luo from Mitero. And I think you can share your screen and get ready to pitch.
Sounds great.
Go for it.
Perfect. Do you believe that agriculture byproduct can replace plastic? Well, I do. Hi, my name is Robert Luo. I'm the founder and CEO of Mitero. We create ocean-degradable and home-compostable packaging materials made from agriculture byproducts and surplus food. You probably have seen or used this type of LDPE plastic film at home or in grocery store. These films are nearly impossible to recycle or reuse, and it will take hundreds of years if you were to throw it in a landfill. However, the world still produces over 78 million tons of these films to protect our fruit and food from going to waste. Ironically, 40% of the food still goes to waste no matter what, and that incurs enormous economic and environmental costs. So I thought, how can we solve these two problems with a single solution? And that was when Mitero was born. At Mitero, we upcycle agriculture byproduct and surplus food and turn it into the powder that you can see right here. This powder is made from dairy byproducts, and this is made from plant-based byproduct. We then re-engineer these powder into packaging material and textile fiber that is home compostable and industrial compostable. Our technology has already applied to textile fiber, as you can see for the fiber right here, made from milk waste, which has been then re-engineered into the t-shirt I'm currently wearing and face mask, which has been sold to 40 countries around the world with paying customer in the US, in Europe, and in Japan. Now, we're developing our technology to solve an even bigger problem, which is the plastic pollution problem. Our packaging material, which you can see from a prototype that we have created right here, is home compostable, ocean degradable, heat sealable, potentially edible, and has excellent water and oxygen barrier, which makes it a good solution for dry food, fresh produce, vegetable bag, and to replace a thin layer of PE coating inside of our paper cup. In addition, our material will cost similar as LDPE, which is 3 to 5 times cheaper compared to other bio-based material. And the reason is that we can source our raw material worldwide at a very low cost. In fact, we are currently working with Budweiser to upcycle their spent grain and turn it into our packaging film in China. And we also work with company in the US, such as Dairy Farmers America, to upcycle their milk waste and turn it into useful materials. We already received interest from early customer. We already have paying customer in Japan, such as Hirado Corporation. As for our packaging material, we have received interest from Dole, Nestle, General Mills, Arla, and Hirado Corporation. We intend to start supplying our final product early next year. We have a team that combines business expertise and technology developments. I've started 3 companies with 2 acquisitions. My co-founder, who's also the chief science officer, Professor Chen from Zhejiang University, has 30 years experience in protein polymer development and scaling technology. Baron, who's our innovation director, earns his PhD degree in chemistry from the University
That's
of
about
Oxford.
3 minutes.
Thank you.
So thank you, Robert. Don't sleep. What you're doing is really, really important for the whole world. So we really want you guys to be successful. Let me see who have questions for you.
Yeah, Michael here.
Go for it. Michael Rabonza. Go for it.
Robert, love what you're doing. Could you talk a little bit, because you were cut off, what's your funding to date and how much are you looking for?
Yes. So up to today, we have raised a small amount, $150,000 from a Japanese angel, and the rest we have been making money from our own revenue, and we have received grants and competition prizes. And for the next round, we're looking for $5 million.
This is your seed round?
This is our seed round.
Yeah, okay. Other questions? We have Torsten Kohlin again. And let me just say, while Torsten is getting ready, we're going to add some time. Uniro, that he's advertising, is one of the best places you can go if you need to. Yeah, exactly. If you have a lot of startups applying for a program, you want to sort them and you want to have hold them out in a, and not get too emotional about them, that you can do, as we heard from Soren, then use Unoodle. And also for you startups, go to Unoodle for opportunities to pitch online and show what you can do and get some good advice from the many mentors that are in Unoodle. So that's a little pitch for you, Torsten. Go for it.
Oh, that's my new pitch. That's pretty good, Rasmus. Thank you, Robert. About the 5 million, I think that's a great follow-on question. What are the scaling challenges here? What are you planning to spend the money on, and where do you think the big challenges will be as you scale this up?
Mm-hmm. We're going to spend the $5 million to develop a small scale production line, which would be about 300 square meter in sizes. And we're also going to spend the money on recruiting 2 to 4 more material scientists on our team, so we can start producing the fiber, which we anticipate to have an annual revenue between $2 to $4 million for the $5 million that we're going to raise.
Got it. And what is the volume roughly you can produce with that plant?
About 14,000 rolls of films.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Any other questions here? Otherwise, I just want to say you sold 10,000 meters to Arla. I just talked to the Arla Innovation Department today. I'll nudge them and say that they should pay attention to those 10,000 meters.
Thank you.
Excellent. Any other questions? Otherwise, we will move on to the next. Thank you, Robert. And thank you to Mitero. Nerve app, come on. Are you there? You are there. Excellent. Let me see here. Could you say hello?
Hey there, how are you?
Excellent. Go for it.
Let's see here if I can get this guy going full screen real quick.
Yeah. And we can't really see you anywhere, but I suppose you are there somewhere.
Oh, I'm here. Hold on. Shoot. You can't see me?
Well, you're there somewhere. Go for it.
Okay. All right, here we go. As a musician today, you have no shortage of ways to distribute your digital content. If it's catalog, it's going to go to places that push discovery like Spotify with thousands of artists and 60 million tracks, but the artist gets paid in one-time events at fractions of a US cent. If it's unique content like a demo track, it's going to go to places like Patreon, where you have one artist to listen to with unique content, and that artist gets paid recurring revenue, but the subscriber churn rate is exceedingly high. These options suck for any artist who isn't named Post Malone or Drake, but it also sucks for the fan. If I want to follow an artist, I've got to go to an artist's website, YouTube, SoundCloud, Bandcamp, Patreon, nugs.net, Facebook, Instagram, and forget about trying to find something that was posted 3 months ago or a year ago. Thanks to the rise in subscription economy, people are more willing than ever to pay for non-catalog content easily accessible in one app. And that's where the Nerve journey begins, giving fans an incredible audio and video experience of an artist's more unique endeavors, and rewarding those artists in the form of substantial recurring revenue. In February of this year, we launched Nerve in beta, which spanned 8 months and included just 2 artists, generated over 100 paying subscribers. We're ready to take this thing prime time, so we're raising $3 million in the form of a safe, with about half of that coming in over these next few weeks. The co-founding team has worked together for 10 to 15 years. We have a lot of expertise in building, marketing, and selling B2B2C SaaS financial technologies. We all have acquisitions under our belt and understand what it takes to build and scale technologies as well as startups. Our mission is to merge user experience and financial technologies to help musicians build sustainable careers. Our first step is establishing Nerve as the streaming platform that makes artists substantial recurring revenue on previously unmonetized or under-monetized assets. Then we will expand into being the trusted place to help them manage their money and that of their businesses for years to come. But back to where we are today. To the subscriber, Nerve is Spotify for independent music, where for $10 a month, I access all the content on the platform and meaningfully support up to any 3 artists I choose. To our artists, Nerve allows me to monetize my existing fan base and underperforming content and earn up to $3 per month per subscriber. Our SOM is currently focused on the US market, but with your help, international expansion in the $12 billion global streaming marketplace would be incredibly exciting. Limiting us to just the US though, and without even the proposed fintech expansion, at the end of year 5, we still see Nerve streaming business at $260 million revenue run rate. $2 million of the $3 million we're currently raising will be used for operating cash, with $1 million going to specific endorsed artist arrangements. About a third of that will be recouped with subscription fees. And we look to hit break even in under 24 months with EBITDA run rate around $7 million at the end of 24 months. Here are a few of our large number of potential acquirers in and around the music industry, as well as fintech. Thank you for your time. Looking forward to your questions.
Excellent. That was exactly 3 minutes. Good job timing it. Now let's see who have a question. I would think Guillaume and Juliana would have, because it's kind of their field. So Guillaume, you want to go first, and then Michael? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a really good pitch. Good idea. I like it. Strong team, which is really key. I'm interested to know how you're managing licensing the rights for the independent artists that are going to put their stuff on your platform.
Great question. We currently, the way that we're handling it is really simple. It's we're asking artists to upload content that either they have the rights to, or they're taking responsibility to pay out the rights accordingly, pay out the royalties accordingly. So we're specifically looking at either independent artists or artists who are between labels and want to release content that is otherwise not covered by other labels.
Super. And Michael Rabonza, go ahead.
My question was actually on licensing, so thanks for asking that.
Yeah, and it's super important. I mean, the reality is that as soon as you get into licensing, you end up in the old world structure that guys like Spotify and everybody else are. They built great businesses with that, but it's entirely different than the type of content that we want to release through Nerve. We're looking at content that is outside of that catalog content that's more interesting to fans.
And I would have a question, if I may. Thanks for the pitch, John. Two technical areas I would be interested to understand better. How would I, as a user, find new music? Which type of algorithm do you use? Is it your own, or do you kind of license an algorithm which does that? And connected to that, are you basing your structures on blockchain so that you introduce transparency? How do you go about that?
The first question regarding AI and effectively how are we suggesting, similar artists to other artists. Right now, we're using our own data to surface that. I could see us easily, embedding something down the road that makes sense. There's been a lot of from the Music Genome Project all the way through, there's been a lot of content based on that. However, right now, because we have a limited data set, it just doesn't make sense for us to build anything more robust than that. And then I'm sorry, I forgot the second question. Oh, blockchain. Right now, we are not.
The blockchain, right.
Right now, we do not use the blockchain. Quite frankly, it's we built an MVP that's a very scalable MVP. As we get the $3 million in funding, we do look to actually extend beyond that, because we do see a very large opportunity actually in the future licensing of some of the exclusive content that's given to us through our artists, and artists have shared that they'd really like to be able to see that transparency. So it makes a lot of sense.
Great. We are actually out of time, but if you have a short question, Torsten, and then a quick answer, John, then go for it.
Yeah, just quickly, what's your traction so far and your growth rate?
Traction so far, we launched our beta in February with only 2 artists, purposely 2 artists. So we have just uncovered, we're past the beta now, and we're signing up artists, as well as we just signed up a festival out of Louisiana that has a couple 100,000 regular attendees. Festivals are a really big source right now due to COVID, but also they've discovered that they need to make recurring revenue as well. So we're also looking at festivals as new sources of content.
Cool.
Great. Thank you. Thank you to Nerve App and to John here. We are going to get ready now for Vasta Event Queue. And I know Lou from Creative Business America. But before you start pitching, I just want to say to the jury members, just so you know, that you will receive in your private Zoom chat. So you will receive privately in your Zoom chat. Look for that, the jury members. And here I'm talking to Guillaume, Juliana, Torsten, Soren, and Michael. The voting link and instructions. In other words, the voting link and instruction you will find in your private Zoom chat. So now, it seems like a good old friend, Lou Vasta. We have never met, but we spent 35 hours together recently here in October with the Creative Business Academy.
Nice to see you, Rasmus.
You are ready to pitch, right, Lou?
Yes. Is my screen showing up for you?
Yes.
Great. I'm Lou Vasta, founder and CEO of EventsQ, a mobile platform with real-time navigation solutions for crowd management, transportation, and public safety. We were designed for major global events, but were formulated for smart cities, venues, and tourism. Events are big business with an economic impact of well over $800 billion, and they operate a lot like cities do. This is our perspective, doing our work from a police helicopter over the United States Formula One while doing traffic, parking, and crowd control. This is an expensive way to do operations and has its limitations. This is how we got here. Operational experience from 25 years and hundreds of major global events like these, from the world's biggest sporting events to major government events with city leaders and even world leaders. The problems that we set out to solve center around this question. How do you bridge the physical and digital environments of smart cities and for a sustainable future? And this translates to transport, public safety, and the people experience. How do you communicate real-time data to better serve people and leverage your technologies to maximize space and flow and minimize risk? We do it by encoding decades of expertise and leveraging new technologies. We integrate people, things, and systems into one technology platform. Our solution streamlines traffic, challenges like parking, all these things. We deliver best real-time options in a B2B2C platform. Our apps give fans, citizens, and visitors, and even tourists real-time data for conveniences and solutions, and on the platform backend, digital solutions for organizers, planners, workforce, and public safety. These are our customers, taken right out of our animation video. And in the lower right picture is where we ran our pilots in the city of Louisville out of the Emergency Operations Command Center.
Louisville, Kentucky.
Louisville. This is our global market. Our serviceable available market is over $1 billion by targeting these multi-$100 billion industries that you see here on the pie chart. Over 5,200 targets are made up from cities, stadiums, convention centers, universities, and shopping malls, using an average price point of $150,000 a year in a SaaS model, gets us to a very obtainable market of 5% and $50 million in revenue within a few years. Also, we have raised $250,000 in a friends and family round and bootstrapped $700,000 ourselves over 4 years. We're looking for $1 million in investment. Our founders, from operations to software. I started my career as a project engineer in civil engineering and on major events. And my friend of 20 years and my co-founder, Terry Ryan, is a SaaS guru, computer scientist, CEO and CTO he's held positions as, and he's even had some successful exits in his past, one to Hewlett Packard when it was acquired by when Knightsbridge was acquired in 2000.
And that's about 3 minutes, Lou.
Okay, and lastly, that's what we deliver. Thank you very much.
Excellent, Lou. And just so you know, Louisville, Kentucky, that's where you buy the Louisville Sluggers, right? That thing that I use to motivate my staff and keep my friends in line, you know? Anyway, joke aside, who would like to go first? Let me just change here what I can see. Questions from the participants. I can tell you that Roskilde Festival will be a potential client. Roskilde becomes the 4th biggest city in Denmark when it's up and running. It's a music rock festival that was canceled for the first time in 50 years and 49 years. It was supposed to be the 50th anniversary. I'm not counting this as your Q&A time, of course, my little rambling here.
Thank you, Rasmus.
So who have questions for Lou? Let me see here. Keeping track of everyone in the Zoom. I think this would be something that also would interest Guillaume, Terrine. Yes, Torsten has a question, and Guillaume has a question. Torsten, you go first.
I don't always have to go first. Thank you, Lou. So a question about how standardizable this market is as you grow. Each event seems to me to probably have different providers and solutions for each of these different things. So how easy it's going to be for you to get, the first 10 and 50 events on board?
Yeah, so great question. We digitalize our operational plans. There is some legwork to be done the first time, but we're delivering a platform that's scalable and customizable by the client. So a little bit more work the first time you land that client, but then their operational people can make the changes for different types of events in those venues.
Thanks.
Great. Guillaume?
Just interested to know, what COVID changed for your business, because does it accelerate your game plan?
Great question, and we've had about 10 months to think about it. Yeah, it definitely does, but we're into spatial intelligence. So if the authorities say that you can't have 100% capacity for your stadiums, and you need to be at 30% or 40% or whatever it is, spatial intelligence is really more relevant than ever now. So we can use that technology for spacing.
I see that Soren has unmuted, so maybe Soren is also with a Q question for you.
Hello, Soren.
Soren is also into big events. He is planning to bring some outdoor drive-in movies to Cuba, I believe. Soren?
Let us work with you, Soren.
Soren Stenderup, are you there? Or
Yeah,
was it by accident?
I'm there. Well, I think Cuba is going to be, for something like this, is going to be way down the line. Actually, data was on mobile phones for Cubans was only allowed 2 years ago, and they're still on to 3G at insane prices. So I think we're going to rely on manpower, which basically on a monthly rate is cheaper than free GBs of data on the mobile phone. So that puts that country into perspective.
Yes.
But so any questions left for Lou here? No, we're all fine. Good. Then thank you, Lou. Thanks a lot. So now we have, first of all, I want to just warn my dear staff, Ioana, if she could repeat in just a minute who goes into with whom to the different tracks of play and learn, music and food. I know some of them, but I can't remember all. I know we'll have Bilditz from Lebanon in play and learn. I know we'll have Sarah Endline in food for sure. So those are at least what my little brain can remember. But Ioana, so also now Guillaume, Juliana, Torsten, Soren, and Michael, you should have received the voting instructions in your private chat. So go in there and vote, and we will be back around in about 25 minutes or so after the breakout sessions to announce who has won the pitch competition. We have come to the end of this fantastic afternoon on the untapped potential of investing in the creative economy. We have heard from some great speakers on why you should consider coming to Copenhagen, both if you're an investor looking for investment opportunities and also if you're a startup looking for investors. Come to Copenhagen and Malta and Chile. We heard about some other great opportunities. We heard about impact investing in the creative industries with Stefan, Carlos, Pelle, and Hit. That was also a really good session. We could have continued forever. And then we had some keynote speakers on raising capital for female founders in Southeast Asia, where there's a $37 billion funding gap. So that's pretty significant. And that's just women, Southeast Asia. What's the rest of the world? How to get funded by Søren Lund and social investing by Carlos Mancilla was also really interesting. And then we had some really good startups that would pitch. We heard from Film Do Entertainment, Lockseed Robotics that will not help me shoot down the birds and insects from my apple tree, not yet, but other stuff. We had Mitero, Nerve App, and Vasta Event Queue, all pitching for a very great jury of Guillaume Thierry from Sue, Juliana Schulze from Media Deals, Torsten Kohlin from Unoodle, and from ByFounders by Søren Stenholt from AML Media, and also Michael Rabonza. And now you're all in, I heard. I saw a thumbs up. So that's great. We now have a few things left. Go to my LinkedIn profile and also to the LinkedIn profile and what we do on thisiscbnet.com. This is .cbnet.com. And we are, for the rest of December, announcing great B2C products by startups that have participated in Creative Business Cup. I can recommend that if you are suffering from SAD, that's a seasonal affective disorder, if you are depressed, sad, and lonely, that can all be cured by the Pocket Sky glasses. It's a small pocket sky, blue sky that you suddenly can put on, and suddenly your mood will actually have. It's scientifically proven, and it's a fantastic design product. And you can wear it while you're watching TV, while you're working at the computer, and it will actually lift your mood. So that's Pocket Sky from Austria, participating in Creative Business Cup 2014. And then we also have Build It's from Lebanon. If you want to teach your kids how to really build a house, including, the plumbing and electricity, I believe they soon have ready for you, then really it's not just building together some bricks, it's actually also getting the cement ready and then molding the cement and making all the bricks. So you really learn how to build. If you have an architect or a construction engineer in your family as a future architect or construction engineer in your family, then definitely you should consider Build It's from Lebanon. It's a fantastic one. So now we are. So these are just two startups that we will feature during the rest of December as great holiday season gifts. I can also recommend Twisted Leaf. Twisted Leaf is a startup from Denmark that uses a waste product from the coffee production, coffee leaves. So not coffee beans, but coffee leaves. They use these coffee leaves and they make these fantastic products. This has 4% alcohol, this one as well. And they are sparkling, and they have natural caffeine in them, and they are great. So caffeine, alcohol, Twisted Leaf, I can recommend getting those. They're getting their website ready for online purchase. You can buy them in the shops in Denmark, but not online yet. So they will be featured soon. And a great way to celebrate the winner of the pitch competition, the most investable startup of the year. We're running late, so we're getting back to you guys later on the prices and what we can do for you. But I know the one and only and wonderful Juliana Schulz from Media Deals in Germany will announce who the winner is. And when we're ready to announce the winner, I hope you will all start your cameras and help applauding the winner. Go for it, Juliana.
Big pleasure. Thank you very much, Rasmus. This is an honor, and it feels like my Christmas wish list has been read by you guys, because the winner of being the most investable startup 2020 is actually my personal winner. So a big congratulations to Robert Liu from Mitero. Well done and best of luck to you. Bravo.
Good job, Mitero. Robert Liu.
We need stuff like yours, Robert, and it's really about time that we tackle this awful plastic wrap problem. And I hope that you will, with the speed of light, get the funds you need to conquer the world for the better. Exactly. So fingers. Be in touch. Be in touch.
Excellent. Can we just have a few words from Robert? Are you there?
Hi, yes, I'm on the call.
Excellent. So now is your moment where you can hold this speech, where you can thank your parents and everyone else. Go for it.
Yeah. Well, I think the opportunity to present our startup to all of you and to share our mission and passion by reducing food waste and giving a new life while replacing plastic. So thank you for this opportunity, and we see this as what we need for the future generations.
Excellent. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, everyone, for being part of this Creative Business Investor event. We're continuing. If you're an investor, join the network. It's a closed network only for investors in the creative industries. And for the rest of you, join the network, join the community on Creative Business Network, so you can hear about what goes on in the world of the culture and creative industries. Thank you to all the speakers, the jury members, the investors, the moderators, and also to my wonderful staff here that has helped me out in making this great Thursday afternoon here in Central Europe and in the rest of the world. I hope you're having a good time. Talk to you soon again, and thank you.